Hey everybody, what's going on? Gorminator here. Just wanted to cover a bit about like 3 essentials for maybe you haven't played all week, you want to come out and start getting going. And these are tried and true throughout the games we play, right? So with baseball, we take our ball and we throw it. You know, we're always flattening that right wrist. Basketball, you get like this and you shoot and it throws out as well. Tennis, forehands, all kinds of sports that way, right? And so it makes sense that when we get in with golf, that kind of action would take place. Well, it sure does, but it doesn't happen until much later in the swing, and definitely not at impact. The ruiner of the swing is when we come in and maybe that left arm stays across your body here too long, and you start accelerating the club down the plane, which would be down that yellow stick there. And then what happens is you end up with a cupped left wrist and also a bent elbow, etc. You start adding loft onto your clubs, hitting behind. So all kinds of things. So where I'm going with this today is like, look, the 3 imperatives would just be work on getting a flat left wrist. Now if you have a flat left wrist, that means you have a bent right wrist, right? So it's called the flying wedge in our game, right? I'll explain that at a different time, but this is going to be very simple and something that beginners can start to understand and go, look, here's a lowercase y, capital Y. I want to feel like I get into that lowercase y and then I hold it over here in the finish. Okay, that would be a flat left wrist. By doing so with that throwing action, when I do grab a ball, you can see it's in the saddle of my my forefinger and thumb here, right? That's where I hold it to throw. That's the pressure in the back of the club that Hogan talks about, where he talks about with his open palm in the book 5 Lessons. It's in there, you know, you can see the fingers off the club, and really emphasizes in some of those photos in there this beautiful knuckle area here on the index finger pressuring the back of the shaft. That's lag pressure. That's where we get in there and we start to feel like we're pushing into the back of that club. And then the bottom of the swing plane would be the 3rd. So you got a flat left wrist pressuring the back with this forefinger. And again, I'm just going to say you do a lot with this, more than you would think, meaning that when you hold the pin to start writing, it gets in the crook there and you start writing, and that's, you got pressure back in here on the pen and it controls how you write. And so it's something that is kind of used without even thinking about golf with, but when you do understand you want to put that pressure into this grip, into the back of that hand, like so, it's what you want to do. Let's get into that grip. It needs to be in the crook of the fingers too. So you don't want to slip it back into the palm pad here. You do not want to put it in there. You want to get it so that it's in the fingers, so that you can wrap that thumb up on top. Whether you overlap, interlock, maybe go baseball, it's definitely in the fingers though, like so. These lines here, and there's a second line and a third line is the palm. Most of you guys have it in the palm and start to put it up in there, and we don't get the hinging or the club face we're looking for. So there's a formed grip Scotty Scheffler uses. Might recommend that. I know we're getting into the grip now all of a sudden, but why not? And then you'd have a very, what you would say, neutral grip, okay? Not extreme. Extreme is going to be when the left hand's over and the right's under. And the other extreme is like a Bryson DeChambeau, where he's actually got the left palm facing the sky, okay? So he's already created a grip, which is unique to him, for an impact, flat left wrist. He's already created a flat left wrist at start, okay? Nobody does that as much as him. Some guys go straight down like this, and he's actually got it here. And so just a little forward shaft lean, it's over, you know? So the scientist, right? That's what seats the lifeline and the thumb pad on top of the glove thumb, see? And it's in the fingers. So that way, when I swing up, it's going to want to set right like this all day long. You see? Right on the back of that knuckle. Right. So it gets there every time. All right, so we've got flat left wrist, which we're looking for. It means, you know, by the time we're at impact, let's say the ball's on here. When I come to hit this one, I want to see my hands forward. This is what we see all good players go. And then everything kind of gets straightened out. About 45-degree shaft angle out here, okay? So for these little shots, okay? So let's get to these little shots, then I'll wheel back into the other mechanics to help me do it. So I start at address, which is the shaft typically inside of the thigh a little ahead of the club head. So there would be a tiny bit of lean, not much. You don't want to be way out here, but just a bit left of the zipper. The ball's in the middle or slightly forward, okay? And then at impact, you want to sense that you're a little further ahead. So impact is actually just a little left bias lower body, and the handle goes with it when you move, right? So we get a little ahead. Well, when you're just focused on the bent right wrist, flat left wrist, the third imperative is that you keep the shaft or right forearm pointing on the bottom of the swing plane, baseline. So it's on the baseline there, comes down to the ball. Nice flat wrist, baseline here. So in other words, if I let that shaft extend all the way down in front of the yellow stick, that's exactly where it is, in front of the yellow stick. All good ball strikers, or they take it out here, take it in here like a Hogan, would shift it back to the plane, going down to the base of the bottom of the plane line, boom, strike right in this area here. It's still pointing down in front of them. That's what they said with if you would ever see Dustin Johnson. I mean, he had the club face 6 inches behind the ball, totally square to the target, hit the ball, and still be square to the target line right here. Uncanny. So he'd come down like this, get square there, right? And then it would do some stuff over here. Okay, so those are the big three right there. Flat left wrist at impact. You have to have a right bent wrist, but the imperative is this flat, the pressure going into the back of the shaft at 3 o'clock, 12's on top, on the plane, bottom of the plane line. And when you're chipping, all right, there you go. Talking about that forward shaft lean, right, or hands ahead, flat left wrist, right? You can't get a flat left wrist if the handle is behind this forearm. Not going to happen, right? Unless you came off with your grip. So when you practice this, you just want to tell yourself, look, all I'm going to do is feel like my right wrist stays bent like this. Even if you did the drill like Hogan, you can see how my hand didn't come off. And it's just a short little chip. I'll keep the palm on the back of the club, lifeline pushing into that thumb handle, which is the number 3 pressure point in the hands. It's in the golf machine book. And you just go a little back and keep it forward. And you can let that elbow go up a little higher. Still got it forward here. So, take you a little while to get it. First thing you'll do is you'll come off. It'll fly off on you. You can do this at home. You keep the thumb pressing there. I kind of crook my hand as such, like this, and I just curl it a little bit. So like I'm holding some water maybe, or trying to put my fingers in a cylinder a little narrower than my hand. You kind of curl the fingers in that way. It really sits that nice feeling of that thumb of both hands, really. Pushing into this thumb. Yeah, there we go.
Hey guys, are you experiencing difficulties with your golf game? Did you know there are 3 major league systems that are used on the tour today, where the real-time adjustments are made by the tour players so that they can shoot better scores under the extreme conditions, and so can you. So just click the link down below. It'll take you to a free quiz. We'll determine which system is better for you so that you can hit your goals and drastically improve your game, just like a tour player. All right, we'll see you on the other side.